Proving that back and forth is twice the distance, Max, the streamer formerly known as HBO Max, is now HBO Max again. Huh? I hear you say, why do that? Well, we're about to find out, because as it turns out, Jaguar aren't the only ones confused about their own brand. Let's dive in. Ever since the streaming wars begun, the one contender that had an advantage, outside of incumbent king of the hill Netflix and Amazon, which has a different business model, was HBO, or as it would come to be known, HBO Max. Incredibly, HBO Max initially made up its own competition in the guise of HBO Go and HBO Now. Luckily, sanity prevailed, as all the different HBOs were eventually merged into one, and then rebranded as simply Max. So clearly, there was only so much sanity going around, because ditching the brand name HBO in favor of Max can certainly be labeled as many things, but sane ain't among them. Before Game of Thrones, before The Sopranos, hell, ever since the days of Oz, the late 90s prison drama that heralded high-end event television, the brand name HBO meant something to the general public, even the international public. HBO has a rich history with television and changed the landscape since its inception, from being the first major cable network to carrying first-run films uncut without commercial interruptions and supported by licensing fees. In a sense, it was a streamer before there were streamers. All of which is to say, the name HBO meant something. It was a brand in its own right, which is a marked contrast to the likes of, say, Peacock, or insert your studio name here, plus or Max. Not only that, adding Max to HBO made sense and wasn't just a streaming name change, but since HBO and Cinemax were sister cable stations, meaning the name HBO Max was defensible. Most of my colleagues and myself all agreed that HBO Max had an edge over other streamers because of the brand recognition, so why in the world would they change that? Well, let's look into this de-branding, or rather de-rebranding. Back in May of 2023, Variety did a story covering the name change with an article titled "Why Did HBO Max Become Max? Behind the streamer's relaunch strategy." In it, the article cites two specific reasons for the rebrand. To signal a broader programming mix, HBO Max was positioned as the successor to HBO, but from the beginning included more than just what was on HBO proper. With Max, Warner Bros. Discovery has stuffed in a slew of non-fiction programming from the legacy Discovery communication side of things. Max features 35,000 hours plus of content, more than doubling the lineup over HBO Max. The company's goal is to let every member of the household see whatever they want at any given time, CEO David Zaslav said in announcing the new name last month. In a much-discussed slide from Warner Bros. Discovery Q2 2022 earnings report, when it first announced the plan to merge HBO Max and Discovery Plus, the company said HBO Max had a male skew with a focus on scripted, while Discovery Plus had a female skew with unscripted content. The thinking was that the new Max name was needed to reflect that it's a place where you can not only watch, say, Euphoria and Barry, but also stuff like 90 Day Fiancé, Jonathan and Drew Scott's Property Brothers, and Shark Week episodes. And while HBO is no longer in the name of the service, it retains a prominent position on Max, including having its own spot on the top of the home screen alongside series, movies, and new and notable categories. So, David Zaslav and team wanted to signify that its content was broader than just Warner and HBO and included Discovery networks, which is fair enough, but in this instance I think everyone would agree that simply putting the Discovery networks under the HBO Max umbrella wouldn't have hurt anyone. And simply flipping over your users from Discovery to HBO Max would have made more sense in the end. They were trying to separate themselves and all other brands away from their flagship brand, and arguably even more people recognize the HBO brand than Warner Brothers. So even a name change to something like HBO Discovery would have made more sense. But anyway, let's see what the other reason was. This one is one that our own Tom Connor cited. To make the flagship streamer look more family-friendly, Warner Bros. Discovery executives ultimately felt that the HBO name was somehow restricting HBO Max's uptake among households with children. We all love HBO, and it's a brand that has been built over 5 decades to stand for edgy, groundbreaking entertainment for adults, Warner Bros. Discovery head of streaming J.B. Perrette said at the Max launch event in April. But it's not exactly where parents would most eagerly drop off their kids. Not surprisingly, the kids content category has not met its true potential on HBO Max. The new Max includes a placeholder kids profile, which by default allows access only to content with PG and TV PG ratings or lower, on the start screen for all new subscribers. Now, as the more perceptive of you may have noticed, I am in fact not American, yet I still knew the brand HBO, and I have since at least the days of The Sopranos. While I'm not nearly as familiar with Cinemax, it is my understanding that it went under the collateral moniker Skinemax, which is A-OK in Europe, less so in the States. But the point is, even I see that dropping the HBO part and leaving the Max part made little sense if you're trying to push a family brand. HBO has always had family content along with adult. Cinemax, not so much. That was the home of B-movies, indies, and from what I understand, adult-oriented material. So, in order to increase appeal to family audiences, they ditched the actual well-known brand HBO and kept the Cinemax legacy in the name.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Yeah, whoever thought that up really wanted to subvert what's in the marketing textbooks. In the end, the rebranding to simply Max didn't make a lick of sense to anyone with their mental faculties in somewhat working order. Here are even some celebrities who felt the name change was dumb.
Is it HBO Max or just Max?
I think it's just straight Max.
HBO Max is out, is it?
It's gone.
Why would you remove the biggest part of the branding?
That's not a better name.
And everybody get HBO, I'm sorry.
Shadow
Max,
HBO Max.
And get HBO.
And get Max. It's Max.
And get Max.
It's just Max.
It's called Max. It's a guy called Max.
Max.
My brother.
Max, that really rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Just what we needed, another network.
I can't get used to it.
I just want everybody to know I'm changing everything that says Max to HBO Max.
Funnily enough, that clip was posted on HBO Max's own X account. That's right, the team over there, along with all the other Warner and HBO X accounts, has taken the debranding, or rebranding, or de-rebranding, or de-rebranding, whatever you want to call it, and rolled with it, admitting, yep, we fucked up, we're now HBO Max again, so let's all have a laugh.
Not just Max. HBO Max. Max. HBO Max. Max. HBO Max.
All while giving HBO Max a ton of free advertising through press and videos such as this. It should be noted though that this all happened on the same day that they dropped their Superman trailer to mostly positive reception. So that's one way of having as few people as possible notice their mea culpa, while reminding them that this is where you're going to be seeing Superman once it hits streaming, as well as Peacemaker Season 2. And they're obviously connected, because what is James Gunn's DC universe if not the Peacemaker cinematic universe? Still, I wonder how long it's going to be until they rebrand again and remove Max and return to plain HBO. I can see that happening at some point in the future. Can you? Or is the name HBO Max here to stay? Or did you think it was better when it was simply Max? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.